Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful. So, dear sisters and brothers, Alhamdulillah, today we have been in the 15-week meeting of the applied macroeconomic class. Alhamdulillah, we almost finished this sequence of meeting of this semester. And according to the schedule that we have set together, that next week would be your last week for this course. And next week, perhaps I will invite you to present your paper that we have assigned in the practical applications my class. So every student will be given around 10 minutes, until 15 minutes to share his paper, and then will be followed by Q&A sessions for the topic that you have chosen before, and you will be evaluated through the paper and presentation that you made next week. And the second one, please also be ready for having the fourth test competency for this macroeconomics class, and the material will be since 13, 14, and 15 weeks, and in terms of time and date, maybe Rian and me will discuss later. So it is depend on the agreement that you and I agreed upon in terms of the time and date for the fourth competency test. And today we will discuss the last topic, and maybe it will be the very interesting topic for the last meeting of this course: advances in business cycle theory. So once you have already understood before that you have learned about some issues connected with the monetary issues, fiscal issues, income issues, consumptions, and also some other issues that related with the macroeconomics. But now we are going to close those discussion into very big pictures in the context of business cycles. So in this, you will learn two areas. The first is real business cycle theory, and second one is new Keynesian economics. So these two areas will be connected with the business cycle applications and theories. Okay, the first one is about the theory of the real business cycles. But before we continue with this, I want to confirm to the Rian. Rian, can you give me just a little bit literal cycle, Rian? Hello, Rian.
Sorry, sir.
Do you know what is a business cycle? Hello, Rian. Can you hear the voice?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I think Rian. What is business cycle? What is business cycle, Rian?
I think the periodic growth of nation economy, sir.
Okay. The periodical session or phases in economics. Okay, the next one I want to ask Sister Lutfi. Lutfi, could you please maybe give another perspective? What is business cycles? Sister Lutfi. Any idea? Sister Lutfi? Hello? Yes, Sister Lutfi, please. Any idea? Okay, the last one is Barik Ariba. Barik Ariba, can you give us a brief explanation. What is business cycles?
Okay, sir. Is it my voice clear, sir?
Yes, clear, very clear. Please.
Okay, in my opinion, maybe business cycle is the dynamics that occur in the business cycle, such as unemployment and cash flow, stocks, and etc. Sir, I think like that.
Okay, so business cycle basically is the pace, yeah, of the economic fluctuations in particular period of time. So it refers to the up and down economy, yeah, which represent the dynamic interactions among sectors in the economy. Yeah. So in order to explain those conditions, so we are given some theory. Yeah. The first is the real business cycles. So under these real business cycles, all prices flexible, even in short runs. So the prices could move up and down. So it implies that money is neutral even in the long run. So it does mean that the money here does not have impact to the outputs. Yeah, neutral. It doesn't have impacts. And the second one is classical dichotomy hold all the time. Classical dichotomy means one sectors is not influenced by other sectors. So they are dichotomous. Yeah, dichotomous separated is other. And fluctuation in output, employment, and other variables are the optimal responses to exogenous changes in the economic environments. So it means that if there's any fluctuation in output, employment, and other variables, so it is coming from, it is due to the external factors, yeah, called exogenous or exogenous change, not endogenous. Endogenous mean from inside, but here is from outside. The third one is relativity shocks, the primary cause of economic fluctuation because of real business cycles. So it is connected with the output variations in the economy, and the output here will be connected with productivity shocks. Productivity here is output over input. Yeah, output over input called productivity. Yeah, and that one is what the economics of Robinson Crusoe. So this Robinson Crusoe is one of the prominence and proponents of the real business cycles. Yeah. So according to him, economy consists of a single producer consumer. So separated each other. Producer is the other side of consumer, yeah, and another one is producers. There is no connections. Like Robinson Crusoe on a desert islands. Assume Crusoe divides his time between the leisure is relax, yeah, and working periods, and these working periods divided into catching fish and making fishing nets. So it means that he divides the activity into productions and investment. So these two things, production and investment, are related with the real economy, isn't it? Assume Crusoe optimizes given the constraint he faces. So he tries to optimize or increase the numbers of catching fish and making fishing nets. Yeah, so it means that the real sectors is being promoted, yeah, by this economy. And the next one is the shocks in the Crusoe Islands economy. So I mentioned before that in economy there is very easy to be shocked by another factors. In this regards, we can divide into internal shocks or external shocks. So internal shocks means the causes of the shocks coming from the internal sides. But the exogenous shocks or external shock is the thing that coming from not from internal factors. Yeah. So example here is big school of fish swims by islands. Yeah, big school of fish swims by islands. Then GDP rise because Crusoe's fishing productivity is higher. Yeah, I hope you understand this one. because of the fishing is increases, yeah. So the GDP will increase because productivity of fishing is going increase as well, and Crusoe's employment rises because of productivity increase means the output is go beyond the input. Yeah, productivity increase means the output go beyond the input. Yeah, so Crusoe employment rises as well because many people gets into works. Yeah, and he decides to shift some time from leisure to fishing to take advantage of the high productivity. So the people that initially they are not working, suddenly they are swift, yeah, or move to the leisure, yeah, from leisure to working activities due to the productivity increases. And the next one is the big storms hit the islands. Suddenly, the big storms hit the islands. So the big storm here, dear friends, is considered as the external shocks because the storm is not under the control of the Crusoe, yeah, or the people around us, yeah. So not our control, beyond the control. So then the impact GDP falls, yeah. The storm reduces productivity. Look like now, I think you can connect with current condition whereby pandemic is external shocks. Yeah. And the GDP falls, the storm reduces productivity, so Crusoe spends less time fishing for consumption. I think it can be applied to your side when the pandemic happens, so you decrease your consumptions so it will make the people postpone making nets. Making net it means making investment until the storm passes, until the storm finish. Employment falls since he's not spending as much time fishing or making nets. Crusoe decides to enjoy more leisure time. So the people is forced or voluntary back to the leisure time. Leisure time means employment falls or unemployment increases. Yeah. From here, any questions, sisters and brothers? Any questions? Okay, I continue now. So could you please help me to read Brother Rian? Economic fluctuations, please.
Economic fluctuation as optimal responses to shocks. In real business cycle theory, fluctuations in our economy are similar to those in Croce's economy. The shocks aren't always desirable, but once they occur, fluctuation in output, employment, and other variables are the optimal responses to them.
Okay, so from this one, you can see that the storm that you read before is considered to be the shocks. And the shock here are similar with the Crusoe's economy previously. And the shock here always are not always desirable, but it will impact to the some macroeconomic variables, and these macroeconomic variables responses until they reach the optimal responses. Yeah. Okay, Rian, thank you. And next one, could you please help me to read Brother Barik Ariba, the debate, please.
Okay, sir. The debate over RBC theory boils down to four issues. First is, do change in employment reflect voluntarily change in labor supply? Second one is, does the economy experience large exogenous productivity shocks in the short run? The next is money really neutral in the short run? And last, are wages and prices flexible in the short run? Do they just do they adjust quickly to keep supply and demand in balance in all markets?
Okay, so you see that the debate over the RBC main real business cycles is related with the behavior of some selected macroeconomic variables. So the first, do changes in environment reflect voluntary changes in supply? So it means that is the employment here is voluntary, yeah, or is forced, yeah, it's not voluntary, yeah, involuntary. Does the economy experience large exogenous productivity shocks in the short run? It means that uh, is the exogenous shocks here give a large impact to the economy in the short run? Is money really neutral? Neutral means doesn't have any uh, uh, okay, next one is the labor market. So connected to the RBC, we focus on the labor market. So we have intertemporal substitution of labor. Intertemporal means there is any changing, yeah, in terms of the composition of the labor in the economy. In RBC theory, workers are willing to reallocate labor over time in response to changes in the rewards to working now versus later. So this is the example of what the choice that the workers will do when they are facing the incentive, yeah, in the current condition and the next condition or future conditions. So this incentive will motivate them to select whether they will take now or later. Yeah. So it is called substitutional intertemporal labor theory. And the intertemporal relative here, so 1 over R times W1 and W2. W here is wages, yeah, and the R here is connected with the interest rate. So interest rate here becomes the very important variables, how it influences the wages amount, yeah, wages amount here, where the W1 is the wages in the period 1 or the present, and wage 2 in the future. So you're comparing now the wages 1 and wages 2, which one is bigger or more interesting. So if you feel that the wages 1 is higher or more interesting, so we'll select to take the rewards right now or the activity right now. But if you feel that the W1 is lower compared to the W2, so you will postpone and maybe you will take this chance the next time, yeah, the future. And in the context of labor force as well, here that in the RBC theory, shocks cause fluctuation in the intertemporal wages. So if there's a shock here, so it will impact to the intertemporal wage. It means that whether the wage 1 or wage 2 is it bigger or lower, yeah, because of the shocks. And workers respond by adjusting labor supply. Yeah, so the workers here respond actually by taking a position of staying in the job, yeah, or they will leaving the jobs, yeah. So their response or their choice, of course, will impact to the labor supply in the economy, and this causes unemployment and output to fluctuate. So the fluctuation basically is because of the labor in the market is shifting or they are changing over time. They are taking some adjustment processes, yeah, in the context of labor force. So that this one that cause between employment and output fluctuates over times. And the critic over the RBC theory labor force is not very sensitive to the intertemporal real wage. So it means that the labor supply here is not the variable of the real wage. Yeah. So whatever real wage happens, the labor supply keeps constant. So it means that the real wage here doesn't have a sensitive impact to the labor force. So it means that the labor here is quite loyal, or they are not easy to move to another sectors because of the wages. So and foremost the factor that make the labor supply is not sensitive to the temporary wages. And the second one is high unemployment observed in recession is mainly due to the economic fluctuations. Yeah, so here is another one. And the next one is about technological shocks. Yeah, so could you please help me to read Brother Fikri, technology shocks, please. Brother Fikri, if you are still there.
Technology shock. Yes, sir. It's
Yes,
my voice
please.
clear?
Yes, very clear.
Okay,
Please
technology.
carry on.
In RBC theory, economics fluctuation are caused by productivity shocks. Point 2, the solo residual is a measure of productivity shocks. It shows the change in output that cannot be explained by change in capital and labor. Point 3, RBC theory implies that the solo residual should be highly correlate with output. Is it?
Are you agree, Fikri? Is it or is not? What your
Is it?
idea, Fikri? Why is it, Fikri?
I don't know, sir.
Fikri, yeah. Okay. So the RBC here accommodate the issue of productivity shock. Productivity here means the level of output compared to the input. Yeah. So you are um, divine output is higher compared to the input. The result is good compared to but you are productive. And productive here is sourced by the changes in output. Yeah, I'm agree with this. So if you're productive, for sure the output will be bigger. Yeah, will be higher, and not explained by the changes in capital and labor, because capital and labor here only the inputs. Yeah, only the input. Both will create or should create a good output. Yeah, so the output here is the ultimate goals, yeah, in terms of the RBC theory. So RBC theory implies that the solo residual should be highly correlated with the output. Yes, right. So because if RBC here theory here related with the output, it means that the fluctuation in the business cycles is actually due to the fluctuation in the output. Yeah. So the output here again and again is the ultimate goals of the solo residual or productivity shocks. Yeah. And it will be impacting the real business cycles. Yeah. And the next one is the another one, technological shocks. The proponents of RBC, proponent with its supporters or RBC theory argue that the strong correlation between output growth and solo residuals. Solo residuals means the productivity shock just now is evidence that productivity shock are an important sources of economic fluctuations. So if productivity shock here going down, so for sure that economic fluctuation also will going down, yeah, and the way around. So if you want to ensure that the fluctuation is not that much fluctuated, so you have to ensure that productivity is not shocks very highly. So it means that you have to be able to to handle or to give the buffer, yeah, to the economy. So when the shock happens, so the economy keeps resilience, yeah, or there is no any fluctuations very deeply. And the critic notes that the measured solo residual is biased to appear more cyclical than the true underlying technology. So it means that the solo residual here it cannot be used to explain the cyclical. Cyclical means the amount of the frequency of the business cycles, how many times the business cycle up and down. So it is the thing that not be able to measure by solar residuals because of the underlying technology. So technology here becomes the important sectors that will make the cyclical here frequent or not frequent. And in terms of neutrality of money, I'd like to ask Brother um, Naufal. Could you please read, Brother Naufal, the neutrality of the money?
The neutrality of money. RBC critics note that reduction in money growth and inflation are almost always associated with periods of high unemployment and low output. RBC proponents respond by claiming that the money supply is endogenous. Suppose output is expected to fall, central bank reduce money supply in response to an unexpected fall in money demand.
Okay, thank you, Naufal. So the neutrality of money means that the money doesn't have impact to the economy. So even though the money keep rising, but the economy does not rise as the money supply rising or increasing. So seems to be any spirited impacts, yeah, from the money supply and the economy in general. And the critic notes that reduction in money's growth and inflation are almost always associated with period of high unemployment and low output. Yeah. So if you remember, sisters and brothers, the business cycle here contains two sides. Business cycles contain two sides. The first side is leverage side, yeah, the up, yeah, the boom pace, and the second one is the deleveraging pace or bust pace, yeah, the up and down, look like mountain, yeah. Can you imagine mountain? Look like this, yeah, look like that, yeah, the mountains. So you have the up, you have the down, yeah. So on this context, the RBC here only focus on the left side when the economy is up. Yeah, the economy is up. So once the economy ups, when the money is increasing, so for sure the output is also increasing. Yeah, because in the period of boom, either output and money are linear, are in line. Yeah. So the RBC proponents respond by claiming that the money supply is endogenous. Endogenous here is related with the system, economic system. So once the economic system is good, yeah, the money supply will be at that conditions and the way around. So suppose output is expected to fall, central bank reduces money supply in response to an expected fall in money demands. So in this case, the money supply actually respond the decline of the money demands. And the money demand and supply here actually related with the number of output in the economy. So in this regards, uh, the RBC proponents that the money supply here is closely related with the uh, output, because the output here is influenced by money supply. Money supply is endogenous. Endogen means part and parcel with the output fluctuation, not the from outsiders. Yeah. So the next one, sisters and brothers, is the flexibility of wages and prices. Yeah. So could you please help me to read Sister Nuha?
Okay, sir. So the flexibility of wages and prices. First, RBC theory assumes that wages and prices are completely flexible, so markets always clear. And second, RBC proponents argue that the extent to which wages or prices may be sticky in the real world is not important for understanding economic fluctuation. Third, they also prefer to assume flexible prices to be consistent with macroeconomic theory. And the last, critics believe that wages and price stickiness explains involuntary unemployment and the non-neutrality of money.
So here you see that the flexibility of wages and prices basically is not related with the business cycles. Yeah, because in this context, with the fluctuation, I mean, because based on their understanding, flexibility of wages and prices actually will be related with economic conditions. So once the economic condition is good, so the wages and price will be flexible. Yeah, but the way around, once the economy is not that good, the wages and prices is not that much flexible. Yeah, so in that case, that okay. Okay, the next one is new Keynesian economics now. So what is the difference between the RBC with the new Keynesian economics? Yeah. So the new Keynesian economics here, most economists believe that the short-run fluctuation in output and employment represent deviation from the natural rate. That condition, this deviation occur because wages and prices are sticky. So the new Keynesian economics believe that there is no flexible wages and prices. Yeah, the wages and prices sticky. Sticky means very difficult to change. Once the wages and prices at that point, so very it's difficult to be changed. Yeah, with other points. It's a new Keynesian economics. And new Keynesian research tries to explain the stickiness of wages and prices by examining the microeconomic of price adjustment. So it is because of the adjustment is quite difficult. Yeah, in the context of the new Keynesian economy. So the new Keynesian economy views once the policy has been set, so this policy must be taken into care of for a long time. Yeah, for a long time. There is no any changes in the short run. Yeah, and it is the small menu cost and aggregate demand externalities. Yeah, so there are externalities to price adjustment. Yeah, price reduction by one firm causes the overall. Yeah, so seems to be any connection between one and another firms. So this raises real money balances and increases aggregate demands with benefit. So it means that uh, the adjustment that conducted by one firm would be benefiting another firm. So it is because of the real money balance that happens or increases. Yeah. So look like right now coming and taking place. So the sectors that from the pandemic, and there is one or another sectors that mostly impacted by the pandemic. Yeah. So in this case, the sectors that benefited from the pandemic, yeah, so they they will they will have increases, yeah, increase in the aggregate demands. Yeah, look like the health sectors, yeah, look like the um, consumption sectors, yeah, culinary sectors, for example, telecommunication sectors. Yeah. Those are the sectors that are benefited from the pandemic. But differently, look like the transportations, the accommodations, yeah, perhaps manufacturers are some sectors that mostly impacted by the pandemic. So here is the menu cost. The menu costs are the cost of changing prices. So because the firm or the company always changing the price, so it will impact the new menus or mailing new catalogs. Yeah. So it means that additional cost will be needed. Yeah, because you are always changing the price. So you need to update your new database, new catalogs and others. So it will create another cost. So in the presence of menu cost, sticky prices may be optimal for a firm, setting them even though they are undesirable for the economy as a whole. Yeah. The next one is recession as coordination value. Could you please help me to read, Brother Rafif?
Okay, recession as coordination failure. In recession, output is low, workers are unemployed, and factories sit idle. If all firms and workers would reduce their price, then economy will return to full employment. But no individual firm or worker would be willing to cut his price without knowing that others will cut their price. Hence, price remain high and the recession continues.
Yeah. So um, you see, Brother Rafif and friends, yeah, in the case of Indonesia, we have so many institutions such as Bank Indonesia, we have OJK, yeah, we have LPS, we have uh, Ministry of Finance, yeah. So those are the institutions that uh, frequently coordinate each other, yeah, in order to determine what the best policy that will be created, yeah, in the mid of uh, whatever conditions, yeah. So once they are willing to coordinate each other, so of course the policy that will be given will be wrong. Yeah. For example, Bank Indonesia, yeah, and Ministry of Finance, they have separated policies. One's focus on monetary aspect and one's focus on fiscal aspects. So once they are failing to coordinate between fiscal and monetary sides, for sure the impact to the output would be different. Yeah. So if the condition of economy get trouble, yeah, or getting worse, so it means that among policymakers in the above levels, they are failing to coordinate. They are failing to sit together to agree on together to what the best policy that must be given. Yeah. So if all firms and workers would reduce their prices, then economy would return to the full employment. So it means that you imagine that economy is look like mountains. Yeah, there is up and down, and between the up and down, you have the turning around points. Yeah, so this turning around points denotes the optimal position that the economy could be achieved once the best policy be created. Yeah, so uh, once the economy has moved beyond this turning around, so it means that economy is preparing to fall. So the policy to respond that one is to reduce the prices. So there is the policy that must retain in order to give the economy back to the point where the optimal positions is not reached at all. But no individual firm or workers would be willing to cut this price. I think very difficult for us to cut the wages, isn't it, compared to add the wage. Yeah, so there are some firm individual reluctant, yeah, to be cut, and without knowing that other will cut their prices as well. So hence prices remain high and the recession continues. So in other words, one, the recessions is coming, yeah. So the wages in terms of economic in general must be cut off, because by cutting off the wages, they believe that the recession will be over, and economy will be back to the full employment, yeah, to the optimal point, yeah, the turning around points. Yeah. But unfortunately, there is a very difficult decisions that nobody wants to be cut in terms of wages, at least the same, no other changes. Now this is the thing that in terms of business cycles, it will create another worse impacts to the economy, because nobody wants to be cut in terms of the wages. And the staggering of wages and prices, staggering, yeah. All wages and prices don't adjust at the same times. Yeah. So wages and prices do not adjust at the same time. The staggering of wages and price adjustment causes the overall price level to move slowly in response to demand changes. So the government somehow, they are not taking the same policy in the same time. Wages and prices are moving up and down together. So at least the government must choose one from both, either wages or prices first. Yeah. Because by taking one of them, the government wanted to know which what the move, yeah, what the impact from this one in terms of demand changes. And each firms and workers knows that when it reduces its nominal prices, its relative price will be low for a time. Relative price means the purchasing power of the money, yeah, for goods and services, so will be lower. Yeah, so it means that you will be getting less goods and services in the mid of uh, nominal prices getting lower. Yeah, so this makes them reluctant to reduce the price. Yeah, so because of your purchasing power becomes lesser and lesser, so in the end of the day, they are reluctant. They don't want to reduce the prices, because by reducing the price, your purchasing power become lower and maybe worse than before. This one that make the wages and prices stagger. Yeah. And the second one is the top reasons for the sticky prices. Result from the surveys of managers. Why the prices sticky? Sticky means very difficult to change. Yeah. The first is coordination failure. Yeah. So the firms hold back on price changes, waiting for others to go first. Yeah. And the second one is the firm delay rising prices until cost rises. Yeah. Firm prefer to vary other product attributes such as quality, service, and delivery lags. Implicit contracts, firm tacitly agree to stabilize prices, perhaps out of the fairness to customers, and implicit contract that fix prices and main cost. It means that all in all, what make the price is sticky? Sticky means difficult to change, because they do worry that they will be not able to increase the uh, ability to purchase goods and services. Yeah. So because of if your wages is lower, it means that your standard of living as well will be lower. yeah, and the way around. So this the main reasons. They're afraid to be more poor, yeah, than before. And what is the conclusions then? Yeah, by looking at the RBC and New Keynesian approach, yeah, this chapter has explored two distinct approaches to the study of business cycles: real business cycles and New Keynesian theory. Not all economies falls entirely into one camps or the other. No agreements. An increasing amount of research incorporates insights from both schools of thought to advance our study of economic fluctuations. Yeah. And the summary is real business theory actually assumes perfect flexibility of wages and prices. So they believe that perfect flexibility will help the people to manage the business cycles. And the second one shows how fluctuation arise in response to the productivity shocks. Yeah, so fluctuation here is due to productivity shocks. And the fluctuation are the optimal given the shocks. So the fluctuation here happens until it reaches the optimal points before the turning around, until reaching the turning around points. And the second one, points of controversy in RBC is intertemporal substitution of labor. Yeah. So it does mean that the labor here will have a choice whether they will accept the works now or they postpone the working period for the next time or the future. So they have the choice whether now or the future they will going to works. And the second one is the importance of technological shocks. Yeah. So here is part and parcel that will accommodate the output fluctuation, neutrality of money, and the flexibility of prices and wages. Yeah. And the new Keynesian economics is accepts the traditional models of aggregate demand and supply, yeah, supply and demands, attempts to explain the stickiness of wages and prices with microeconomic analysis. It means that this Keynesian approach supports the stickiness, unflexible of wages and prices. Okay, that's all perhaps for our discussion today. Perhaps you have any questions, sisters and brothers, comment, feedback, or other sharing, most welcome. Any questions so far? Clear? Rafif, you have any question? Rafif, Ariba, Adisana?
No, sir, not yet.
Okay, if there is no questions, then I will just stop for our discussions, and then please be ready for the next week for the test competency. And then I do remind you that the presentation of the assignment of full paper will be presented by the next week, and the submission is by 31st of December. Yeah, the full paper. The detail, please go through the my class of practical application of macroeconomics. And if you have any question or maybe unclear instructions regarding with the paper assignments, please don't hesitate to discuss with your class leader or with me directly. Okay, any response question before we end the session, please? Enough. Okay, if enough, okay. If enough, personally, I would like to express my thanks and appreciation to all of you, IPF Batch 2020, for joining the class for almost one semester or 16 weeks of class meeting. And I do wish that you will get some experience, some maybe informations that benefit for your next journey. And I do apologize if there are some mistake made during the session with me. And hopefully we can meet again in the next semester or another course that you will take during your study at IPF programs. And the last but not least is please always keep the spirit and please always improve your skills, your ability, and do participate actively on the program provided by IPF or UMY. Looking forward for your achievements and your uh, activities ahead. Hopefully you will success and hopefully you will finish timely at this program and will be a success after you are graduated from the programs. That's all for me. Thank you very much. See you next week on the test competency and presentations of the paper assignments. With that, we close this session by reciting Hamdalah, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. See you next week and next time. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Waalaikumsalam
wabarakatuh. Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
sir.